because I did backtrack quite a bit later on, thinking, yeah, that should go in, this should go in. If I'd have just spent a quiet week, not really putting in any pressure on myself to start, and just doing that, contemplating, I think I would have set off in a better direction.
Hey there, this is Neil Napier and welcome to this podcast for MyFirst1000. Today I'm joined by Sam Little. Sam's a good friend of mine and he's been creating some waves recently within our Kyvio group. He's a proud Kyvian, but more than that, before he came in and did FunFrames, he had been working with hypnotherapist clients. I think he's still working with them, but I won't assume a lot. I'll let Sam tell us a little bit about his business right now. Sam, whenever you're ready, please take it away.
Yeah, that's great, Neil. Thanks for that introduction. So yeah, for a long time now, I've been involved in a one-to-one client business. And if anybody else is in a similar situation, you'll understand the problem with that is that our time is really, really limited. So that's what first attracted me to the idea of building out online courses. First we went, instead of one-to-one, I started doing more work one-to-many. But then the question becomes of how to scale that. So, I started looking around and I came across Kyvio as a system about a year ago. And, I followed Neil for a little while and picked up quite a lot of good tips from him. And slowly but surely just started looking at how I could possibly implement some of these things. And I have to say, my business at the moment is still mostly one-to-one client work. And there's always this friction at the moment that, I can't be doing both at the same time. So I think where I'm at in my business is just still slowly working out the best way of moving away from doing as much one-to-one work to find a way of scaling things up.
I mean, I can tell you I had the same challenge because back when I started, I was, for lack of better term, freelancing, doing writing work for other people, getting paid for the time I spend doing the work. And while that was good, what I did was I saved up enough money so I could, for 6 months, sustain, and then I just made the jump and did product creation instead. I know it's different for everyone. Like, I know you're married, you have a kid, so it's slightly different. And I'm not saying your reality is my reality, but I think a lot of people who are in that cycle of exchanging time for money, they start just like you have done by creating products, and then they slowly move towards just doing products and scaling things up from there.
Yeah, I think it's a chicken and egg a little bit, really. What's going to give first? I mean, for me, going back, I think about probably about 3.5, 4 months ago now, Neil, when you and I started talking specifically. And I went to Neil with it was an idea, but it wasn't actually at that point an idea for an online course. It was an idea for potentially a digital product. But at that point, I was looking at it more as a lead generation tool. Okay, and he looked at it and said, "Hey, man, you're only scratching the surface there. You could do a lot more with it. Spend more time on it, make it better." And you might just have something there, and you won't know unless you try it. So get your head down. So what I did was I cleared my diary as much as possible, had the conversation with my wife and said, look, I'm really going to need a little bit of space for this next couple of months because I think it's important that I try this thing. And she agreed with me. She could see the sense in it. And I suppose the only problem or challenge that I really had once we'd got that clear was what I had done during that time is I had neglected some of my other stuff. There was GDPR coming up at that point, and there was other marketing work which I normally had ongoing for my existing business. So I think an important takeaway from that is, yes, it was the right thing to do to jump into things and make that happen and put a timescale on it. I think what I should have done was planned the maintenance of the other side of the business a little bit better, just so that I didn't come back to it on quite so much of a back foot, you know. So I think this idea that, you know, just blindly leap and there'll be a net which catches you, I don't sort of buy into that. I do think that you have to do it intelligently, whether that is saving up the funds to cover you or, you know, getting help. Certainly outsourcing would be an important aspect. You know, I've never done video editing before, and I think it would have been good value just to give someone else to do, you know.
Yeah, I think for me as well, I'm quite risk averse like you. And if I'm starting something new, I want to hedge my bets going in to make sure that everything is okay if I have to fall back on it. You know, for some people, if they have no responsibilities, no need to support someone else, they can just go and, you know, they'll be like, yeah, I'll just do this, see how it goes. But most people can't take that big leap, and that's fully understandable.
Yeah, I suppose it does depend on what stage in life you're at, what stage in your business you're at, and ultimately, where do you want to get to? You know, what sort of life do you want to support?
Was that your biggest challenge, Sam? Would you say, you know, trying to balance everything together at that time?
Yes. Well, the biggest challenge didn't come until, well, actually building the course, the biggest challenge was probably, it's coming to this idea, is it good enough? Is this thing good enough? But the feedback I got was really amazing because, and you know, maybe it's something that I had to experience myself. I know people had told me this, and you've heard it said. You know, there's lots of sort of experts about that say the same thing. But I really do have the experience now that, you know, what you take for granted, and what, and I would take it even a stage further. If you know something which you know, for you it's something you can do automatically, right? It's so easy for you, and somebody else is struggling with it. I'd almost go as far as saying that it becomes a little bit of a moral responsibility. You know, you could help that person with that knowledge, with those skills. So it's not just about you, is it? It's about them. If you've got something that's really valuable, okay, you want to get paid for it at the end of the day, but you're not getting paid. It's not a donation. You're not begging for help. You're actually offering something really valuable. And if you've got something which you don't have to go off and learn from scratch, you know, you're doing it day in, day out already. How hard could it be, honestly? Just making that a bit more concise, standing up in front of the camera and making something happen. Then it won't be perfect. And if it goes well, you'll iterate and you'll improve it. So yeah, I mean, if you've got something like this, you've got to give it a go. That's what I think.
True. And I will add to this here that for those that haven't seen FunFrames from Sam, and I have seen the entire thing, it is an absolute gold mine. I mean, it just amazes me to this day how much you know about funnels, how well you understand them, how well you can structure them. So I truly hope one day you can put aside a lot of time and just show it to the world and let, you know, again, you talked about moral responsibility. I think it's yours as well to help people with the knowledge that you have.
Yeah, fair enough.
Good.
Yeah.
But let me also ask you this question. So from here on, what are your biggest challenges to grow? Like, what's stopping you? I know
good question. Well, I suppose, continuing to take my own advice, really. I don't suppose it's not my next big thing. And it's not something that really feels like a challenge to me at the moment, because I'm quite excited about it. Is yes, continuing to develop funnel frames, but I think I've got a pretty unique angle on it. You know, I'm in the moving people business. Okay, so you know, I'm interested and always have been interested in the psychology involved in moving somebody from one situation to another, and it's exactly the same with funnels, with marketing, with, you know, there's fundamental principles that crop up in every context, whether it's therapy or whether it's a marketing funnel, whether it's trying to make a sale. And I'm diving pretty deep into this area at the moment, and I'm working out what kind of cross-transferable elements there are, which could be made a little bit more prominent within my FunFrames course. But at the same time, I'm getting a lot of secondary benefit in my one-to-one sessions, because I'm learning all the time, and I think that's the key, really. You know, you're always a teacher, but you're always learning as well. You never know it all, and that's just part of that cycle. You keep learning, keep passing on knowledge, and call it out if it's really useful.
Yeah, I think it's good that you can kind of take lessons from both things that you're doing and merge them together.
Yeah.
So one more question. I mean, I know that you haven't been selling courses for too long because most of the things you've been doing is one-on-one.
Yeah.
But we had FunFrames, and that was, in my opinion, still successful.
Yeah.
What do you like? What kind of impact reaching that first $1,000 has had on your life with the course? Do you feel that yes, you can do it over and over again? Do you feel that you look at things differently now?
Yeah, I do, because I know that that's doable. Okay, a real honest take on the situation.
Sure.
And I don't mind talking numbers. FunFrames earned me about £2,000,
Sure.
which was great. Okay. And it's something which is obviously resaleable. It's there, it's sitting there. So obviously the next thing is there's two avenues. One is further promotion. One, however, is improving the overall package. And I think what I'd honestly have to say is, don't expect that first sale's amazing, and I don't want this to put you off. But it's not until further down the line that you're gonna really get the bigger benefits. Because of course I put all this time in it. I shelved a lot of extra things for a couple of months to get that done. And if I was looking at the amount of money per hour I got out of it at this stage, just after one launch, it's not there yet. But that's not the point. You've got to get through that bit and you mustn't forget this. You've got to get through that bit to the point where it really becomes more viable than the one-to-one.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Don't lose hope. Don't lose heart midway through.
Exactly, and it's an asset. I think it's an asset that you can continue to grow over time, both financially as well as then expanding the course itself.
Yes.
But if you could go back and change something, what would you change doing this?
Good question. Yeah, I suppose I would spend a little bit more time in the beginning mapping it all out. I think maybe leave, just pen and paper. I would spend more time with few distractions, because I did backtrack quite a bit later on, thinking, yeah, that should go in, this should go in. If I'd have just spent a quiet week, not really putting in any pressure on myself to start, and just doing that and contemplating, I think I would have set off in a better direction.
Sure. Okay, that's very good to know. And time for some fun questions, Sam. So, what's your favorite book?
I don't really have a favorite book. It's not a good answer, but I'll tell you what my favorite book at the moment is.
Sure,
I've been reading a lot of business books recently. Top tip.
Okay. All right.
It's cost you a couple of £3 or dollars or whatever on Amazon. Technique for producing ideas, and it's such a short book. It's a little gem. So yeah, it'd only take half a day to read, if that.
I think a lot of that for myself, that sounds really useful.
Yeah.
That's good. Thanks. And what kind of music do you like, Sam?
Depends what I'm doing. If I want to get pumped up, motivated, it's probably something like the Chili Peppers.
Okay.
If I'm working, I might want something a little bit more on the classical end. Ludovico Einaudi, for example, me and my wife both quite like. And if I'm just going to chill out at weekends or something, probably some reggae or some dub.
Okay. And what's your favorite band or song?
Favorite band or song?
These
I'm
questions
pass on that.
about a minute. So.
I'm going to pass on that. I'm sorry. It's such a difficult question, that one.
But tell me this, and I know you travel quite a bit as well. So if you were traveling, do you prefer going to the city, to the beach, to the mountains? What's your ideal?
Hands down, mountains.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and if you could get a beach in a city nearby, that would be great. You know, I spent a couple of years in Innsbruck, okay, which there's no beach close, but
Sure.
you could get down to Italy really easily. You know, you had the mountains on your foot on your doorstep, and I was at university there, and you could get for a couple of €100 for the entire season a bus pass, but it wasn't a bus pass; it was a travel pass, which includes
Okay.
all the ski lifts.
Wow.
So that's where I fell in love. You know, I was up there all the time. You know, in between lectures, just yeah. So I love mountains.
That's
Yeah,
incredible. That's nice. I didn't know Innsbruck had such a rich variety of options you could do.
yeah. It's town. It's the city itself. I wouldn't go as a city destination, but
Sure.
if you want a location where you can go out at night and get out in the country and see some big sights,
True.
get some adventure sports experiences, then yeah, it's a good place.
True. And would you say for traveling, is that your favorite city, or is there another you prefer in the world somewhere?
Yeah, I love going to Barcelona. I've got some good friends in
Mhm.
Barcelona, friends and relatives in London. Although, yeah, I suppose I quite like New York as well. I mean, I've been there a few times, and it's just a nice place to go and spend a weekend. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just waiting for this display to pass over, but yeah, I think it's going now.
Okay.
Interesting. Um, let's come back to business for a couple of minutes. So a lot of people, they're quite often worried. They're listening to this and they're still a little bit worried. They have this doubt that they might not be good enough to sell a course that they've created. Do you have any inspiring words for them that could get them to take action?
Well, yeah. What would you be doing if you were feeling inspired? I mean, it is a thing. You've got to start somewhere. If you can't eat the big frog right this second, then just get some momentum. Do something. You know.
And that means just selling, hustling, whatever it takes to sell your course.
Well, I mean, if you're getting up in the morning and you honestly, you really don't feel like you can face it, well, maybe you can't face the whole big thing because you don't know where to start. And at that point, I mean, this is my therapy talk, really. At that
Mhm.
point, it's less important that you know how to tackle the big thing. That becomes clear when you've got some motivation, you've got some serotonin flowing, and you only get that by approaching, you just got to make a start, make your bed, you just got to make a start and trust that you will, if you can't answer the question now, is it urgent? Do you need to answer it this second? You've just got to keep moving forward with it. And as soon as you get stressed and you go into like the fight flight response, you're not going to be able to do good creative work. It's just not going to happen. So you first and foremost, you have to be on good form. And that is done by being happy, engaging in positive activities, positive interactions, doing something else. And those big eureka moments, they don't come when you're really sat at your desk 2 o'clock in the morning and you've been there all day and you've been grinding it and you're sick of it. They don't. They come when you're nice and relaxed and calm and you've gone and jumped in the shower, so you just got to look after yourself in that sense, I think.
That's a very, very valid point. And I think a lot of people really appreciate that the mental well-being, feeling that positive, that happiness is just as important as creating results.
Yeah, but the point is that literally, Neil, that literally gets you operating from the left prefrontal cortex of the brain. And and that is the solution finding area of the brain. It doesn't come from any other place. So if you want to be creative, you want to come up with a new answer to an old thing, you've got to be there. So that becomes the first goal. I mean, some people can snap into it in certain contexts. And once you've been doing something a while, it gets easier to do that because you're more confident with it. It's just you're familiar with it. But if it's something new, you kind of can't take it too seriously if you want to do your best.
Sure. No,
Yeah.
I understand. Sam, one last thing. If people want to reach out to you, maybe even ask for help, what's the best way to get in touch with you? Maybe your website or your Facebook link?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if anybody would like to get in touch, give me a shout out on Facebook if you can find me, Sam Little. I've got a Facebook group called FunnelFrames. That's facebook.com/FunnelFrames. Or just straight to my website, samlittle.me.uk.
Okay, great. I'll paste all these links under the video as well so people can check them out.
Fantastic.
But Sam, as always, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with us. I really think, I mean, I love the work that you do. So I hope that you continue doing that. You continue changing lives and moving people to where they should be. So thank you once again for being on this session with me.
Absolute pleasure. Always happy to chat with you, Neil. You take care. We'll talk soon, hey?
Hey.